Man, I just got in a Lethal Weapon, and now it's over. Now it's over. 7 years ago. 7 years ago, they pulled the plug on this. It only lasted for 2 seasons. Here's the argument that they're saying had ruined the whole damn show.
You know, I've seen handle hits better than you did yesterday. Suck my I mean, that was the biggest move I think I've ever seen. You're the biggest crybaby I've ever met in my life. You want to suck this? I mean, how does it feel to only be in the game because you're
So they're saying a couple things there. I liked how Daman Wayans says, well, you could suck this pussy's dick. You're calling me a pussy? Well, suck this pussy's dick, motherfucker. And then there's going to be this outburst. He has an outburst. He's like yelling at people. He's yelling at the assistant director. The article that came out said he was yelling at children. So let's take a listen. It's like right around here somewhere. I mean, frankly, how many times has Dexter been killed off, and yet he hasn't died? Dexter has died so many times at the end of the season, and then somehow they reboot an entire goddamn another fucking... that Dexter cannot die. So even if a character is actually killed off, you can always bring him back. And if a character is killed off, ultimately... then maybe they're just trying to do some intrigue, maybe just keep it all interesting. But if a character was killed off, a lot of times it's because behind the scenes, the actor or actress was fired or written out of the show. So it had to do with politics. This Clayne Crawford, that's this actor's name. And if you look at his hair, he is playing Riggs. You know, he just lost in the very beginning, he lost his wife and his son. His wife was pregnant, about to go to the delivery room to give birth. As she's driving to the hospital, a car rams into the side of her, and then she dies. And so now he's, distraught. Now he doesn't feel like he has anything to live for, and that makes him a lethal weapon. So Clayne Crawford makes a good point that in order for me to play Riggs, I can't be sucking dick. I gotta play this goddamn motherfucking loose cannon. I gotta play this goddamn out-of-pocket loose cannon. And you want me to be a goddamn kiss ass?
What do you think I should do?
What's that? I don't know! Shut the up! Newman, they're right here. Get somebody in here with a walkie and shut them the up! Or did we not pay for this place? If we did, shut them the up!
There you go. That was it. That was it. That was like fucking episode 8 or some shit. And you don't even notice it. It was a small blow up for what? Fucking 10 seconds. And then he, the actor, even was like, maybe I should have took 10 seconds. Maybe I should have walked to my trailer. So he was actually feeling somewhat, sad about the thing. But ultimately, with this scene, you have this actor who is doing this scene, they said hours. So this guy's got a gun pointed to his head and he's doing this emotional scene. And they're trying to do the shot and they can't get the shot because there's all this background noise, and so they keep throwing the shot out because of all the background noise. I don't even know what the background noise is. And he's yelling at the assistant director. That's who he's yelling at. So the article was bullshit. It's so crazy how much politics, goddamn. So this article came out, 2018 or whatever, when this show was actually going on, and then people are like, what? This Clayne Crawford, he ain't just playing Riggs, he really is Riggs. Let's listen to what Clayne Crawford has to say.
I made the show for, man. Period. I don't fucking make shows for executives. I don't make shows I don't do anything to make a fucking producer happy. Those guys are bean counters, right? I make a show because I want what I want. When I watch a show, I want to get lost.
Yeah.
When we watched Guardians of the Galaxy for the first time, which is what I kind of based the show on, is I was like, man, those guys found a great balance of fucking funny and dramatic and action and entertainment. We can all do it.
Yeah.
We just can't take ourselves too seriously, and we gotta kind of fucking fly off the cuff sometimes. Like we gotta be able to adjust and to be pliable, and I think we were successful with that for the first 2 seasons. But I feel like it's a little like if they'd
Okay, so that's the actor. The actor, he's 47 years old. I'm not sure how old Daman Wayans is. Daman Wayans actually is a Jehovah's Witness, which is, I respect him for that. I like the show. I like the dynamic of the show. Daman Wayans did seem subdued, but even though he was subdued playing this, basically respectable and civilized family man. He was playing a respectable and civilized family man. He still is funny. It just kind of shows you that all you need is good timing and the situation. Sometimes the situation writes the joke for you. And then that Keisha Sharp was sexy as hell. Oh my God. But it's incredible. So the corporation, they're going to kill off Riggs, right? And the corporation still wanted to soak all the gravy up. They want to carry lethal weapon forward without Riggs. And then later on, Daman Wayans is going to want to leave. So now they're going to carry on Lethal Weapon with Riggs, without Riggs or Murtaugh, without the two leading actors. Without the two leading characters. They're like, let's just carry this thing on. It's like, well, because you got production and crew and all the rest of it. And frankly, if that's how much you felt like this, you like the damn production, you like how the boom mic operator was working, and you wanted everybody to keep eating, this was avoidable. Just a couple spats. So Clayne Crawford had yelled at an assistant director for 10 seconds because he wasn't doing his fucking job. He wasn't doing his fucking job. This guy's got a gun to his head and he's trying to be all emotional and shit. He's trying to be emotional and they've done it for fucking 3 hours and shit. This shouldn't take goddamn motherfucking hours to shoot. So Clayne Crawford, did fucking lose his temper, but he's like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. But the corporation want to carry on. They want to carry on.
The Fresh Prince. We'd have been like, what the fuck are we watching anymore?
Yeah.
So that's why I just didn't think it was possible. And again, I knew we had problems. Because obviously we saw the show differently. I think I came from it creatively. I just finished Rectify. So I was quite hesitant to come into a network show, much less the remake of what I thought was a great film and a great franchise, with excluding the fourth film. And so
why do they hate on that fourth film? Was that fourth film really that terrible? One good thing about the Mel Gibson and Danny Glover series was that those were shot between years. They shot 3 movies throughout the years, right? So they had plenty of time to sort of go back to their own domain, and then it just sucks because Clayne Crawford and Daman Wayans, Riggs and Murtaugh had such good on-screen chemistry. And this argument sounds like a lot of the arguments that they had on TV. And then the argument about him being a pussy and then him saying, suck this pussy's dick. That whole argument came about because there was a scene where there was an explosion and a piece of shrapnel came and hit Daman Wayans in the head. And, maybe they could have been more sensitive. Yeah, definitely. They definitely could have been more sensitive. We're just actors here. We're just actors. We're playing parts. This is all fictional. You don't really want anyone to get hurt. But when I think about it in the context of the show, in the show, Riggs and Murtaugh were always bantering back and forth, really digging into each other about, things that were going on in their lives. And then all the fucking violence. I mean, there wasn't a goddamn episode where they shot and killed somebody. There was one episode where Riggs was going to step out into the limelight so that way the shooter could shoot him because they ran out of bullets, and then when the shooter goes to shoot him, he wanted Murtaugh to shoot the shooter. So basically he was going to take the bullet, get shot, probably get killed and die, and what Murtaugh did instead was shoot Riggs in the foot, and then with the commotion, he bends down, he still found the shooter had shot, so he bent down and then they, found a gun and worked it out. And that was a funny joke too because it says, I can't believe you shot me. And then he returned with, I can't believe it took me this long to shoot you. So, the dynamic was incredible. You had Patrick Duffy who came back, Dallas, right? The entire episode, the entire season. They just deleted an entire season. So anybody else following the plot and seeing the characters and seeing which direction they went back, and now you got Patrick Duffy was in the shower, and guess what? The entire season was just one big dream. Another bad thing about it was they were on, their way to doing some awesome shit. Riggs was going to go to Texas, and then he was going to go live out his life, a decent life. Actually found something, worth living for. Found himself a wife to love, and then a stepchild, and maybe they could have raised a family. So there's new things that were happening, new beginnings. And then Murtaugh was the captain. He was the damn captain. And he even got that fucking Ferrari, and they fucking goddamn did a little circle thing. Badass fucking machine gun. The goddamn, what's her name? The Bailey. Bailey was there in the passenger side, and they, spun around, and fucking badass, man. It was fucking badass. Murtaugh was going to become captain, so that introduces a new dynamic. And then Riggs was going to go to Texas to find himself family. They were both on the verge of bliss. They're both on the verge of extreme happiness. And then third season, it's ridiculous. Why the fuck would the corporation even try to keep this thing going? Murtaugh isn't the captain anymore. Because he's just so distraught. They're such fucking fake motherfuckers, man. God, they're such fake motherfuckers. It's hard to watch the first episode of Season 3 because Riggs had got shot in the chest. You didn't know if he had died or not from the cliffhanger of Season 2. And then Season 3, Episode 1, they said, yeah, he got shot and killed. He's dead. He got shot and killed. He's dead.
The crew getting everything quiet. They're the ones that say, guys, we're rolling. And a lot of times they're the ones that actually call action. Because sometimes Video Village, which is where the director kind of views what's happening through the camera.
It's so far away.
It's so far away. And we had 2 different ADs when they would rotate each episode. So one would be prepping while the other one was shooting, and vice versa.
So there he's just trying to explain himself. But do you need to explain yourself? People get fucking pissed off, and actually I've heard that when you get pissed off at something and you don't say something, that's when you really start to kick yourself. That's when you start to kick yourself. It's unfortunate. In a way, maybe it's more dynamic because there's only 2 seasons left, and so now, each and every episode is iconic. But it's ironic. It's ironic that they've gone through so much shit. They shot so many things. They got injured so many times. He got shot in the foot. There was that one Murtaugh pointed a gun at Riggs and pulled the trigger, so he almost shot and killed the guy. And then to complain about, I got hit in the head a little bit. You're motherfucking jumping off buildings, jumping into pools, jumping through glass. Like I said, shooting people. They killed people every goddamn day. No telling, The Sopranos, they said, was, pretty bloody because people were getting killed every day. But Lethal Weapon was pretty goddamn. And then to bring in Sean William Scott, or Sean Michael Scott, Stifler. And he isn't being Stifler at all. Sean Michael Scott, he's actually more subdued than Daman Wayans is. So Sean Michael Scott is a total fucking scab. And then the whole thing is he's ex-CIA, and then they killed a kid off in the very fucking beginning, right? And it doesn't seem like he's that broken up over it, frankly, And then he's supposed to be a lethal weapon or something. I don't understand. Who's the lethal weapon? Where's the lethal weapon is gone. The lethal weapon is gone. So Riggs on his way to, Texas, and Murtaugh on his way to become captain. That was way more interesting in the fucking premise of Season 3. I also heard Daman Wayans wasn't happy with just really the job itself, like the entire 3 years.
So many issues, which now you're seeing, Season 3, these guys are having tons of issues when it comes to safety, because it's a fucking free-for-all. There's no leadership. We never had a showrunner on set. Matt Miller was never on set, maybe 10 times in 22 episodes, and we shot for 200 days. There was no producing director on set because that was Steve Boyum who directed a lot of the episodes, and he was in his 70s, so he just couldn't be on set every day. So they were kind of giving it up to the director. And
why do you think they were doing that is my question, because it is highly unusual, one, to let your lead actor not do table reads at all, really give a shit what Murtaugh did.
So there's a thing about the Jehovah's Witness. They went to a church, and he was like, we can't shoot here. I'm Jehovah's Witness. And it's like, damn it, if you would come to the table reads, and we would have known that, but we're here at the scene. We're ready to shoot the damn scene. It just sucks because on screen, it absolutely works. It was fantastic. But what's crazy is, Clayne Crawford has to do his hair very specifically to make it look like he don't give a fuck. But it looks like the way he did his hair, it looked like it took hours and hours to do. It was, like long at the top and then permed at the tips. So you don't give a fuck, then why the hell did you do your hair for fucking 3 hours? But suck this pussy's dick, huh? Why don't you suck this pussy's dick? Even in that argument, Damon Wayans was funny. And then Clayne kind of throws like some shit about you're just in the industry because of your brothers. When I think about Daman, Keenan, Marlon Wayans, they're all pretty interesting in their own right. But I feel like Keenan, maybe because he's oldest, he had to take more of a leadership position. He wasn't as funny. Marlon is like, he's willing to do whatever it takes to get the fucking laughs. Damon's a good in-between. I almost think Daman is the star of the Wayans family. And when I think about even farther, go back to In Living Color, Damon Wayans used to do he really wanted people to laugh. It's almost like he tried too hard. He had this homeless character and he pulled out like this jar of piss. The homeless character with a jar of piss. Maybe it's funny, but it's fucking gross. And then homie don't play that, right? So he'd have this fucking sock or whatever and hit the guy on the other head. Homie don't play that. He would just do so much. It was like kind of Jim Carrey in the early days, and then to see Jim Carrey in the Truman Show or some shit, where he's not this a total cartoon character. And how can the character Riggs suck dick?
Yeah, and that sucked for him. I think that he told me that he never thought this thing was going to go. And that he had gone to Peter Roth with another idea to do a show, because he said that he was ready to kind of, come out of retirement and that he wanted to make a television series. And when he went into Peter's like, that's a great idea, but let me pitch you something else first. Lethal Weapon.
I'm sure that went over like a fart in church
like
to Damon.
A fart in church. And apparently, Bill Hicks would have taken.
Names going micro. Micro
Like a
habits,
fart in
micro
church.
wins, microdose, GOP ones.
Taking that hit better than you do.
And then Damon Wayans was on Twitter and he tweeted a bunch of stuff. And then Clayne Crawford, he's from Alabama too. There's several times in this interview he's like, look, I'm from Alabama, with a banjo on my knee and shit, I come from Alabama, have a banjo on my knee. Yeah, that's a racist fucking state. You motherfucking are the biggest racist, goddamn backwards, stupid ass motherfucking. So to say, well, this is how we did things, he was trying to say when it comes to yelling, we had coaches that would yell at us at Little League. And it was for motivation. That's what it was for motivation. And maybe that was some fucked up shit. I really like the Lethal Weapon because it just feels relatable. It feels so relatable because Damon Wayans was playing like this respectable, civilized father with a good household. And Riggs had come from a abusive situation. He came from child abuse. And so he had to, fight these demons with his old man being terrible and awful to him. And then he's got a decent job being a police officer. And then, his wife had that kid and they were going to give birth. So he's on the verge. Again, he's on the verge of happiness, pure bliss. And then she gets hit by a car. And then she's fucking dead. And then she's fucking dead. And he did a lot better job than this Sean Michael Scott. What a fucking scab Sean Michael Scott is. When the kid dies, it didn't even seem like he was sad about it. I mean, it looked like acting. And what a bunch of fake motherfuckers. When it comes to season 3, we're so sad about Riggs. We're just sad. It's time to move on, okay? We're sad, though. We're so sad. It's time to move on. The actor's still there, okay? Clayne Crawford is still alive. You could still move on and actually create the show. But when it comes to sadness, the hurt stays until you die. Oh, they're just so fucking fake. They're just so fucking fake. They fired him. So they didn't want Riggs around at all. They weren't sad about him leaving at all. They fired him. They got rid of him. So to sit there and have an episode where they're all pretending to fucking cry, just so fucking fake, man. It's just, so sad. It's almost like the Lethal Weapon series, you got 2 seasons. The 3rd season, it's almost like, what in the fuck are they doing? What is this train wreck here? And how can Riggs, the character, suck dick? Huh? Suck this pussy's dick.
Names going micro. Micro habits, micro wins, microdose, GOP ones.
What?
And what'd he say to that?
I think he goes, oh, I mean, you're just a pussy. And I was so disappointed in him. And everybody's like, dude, you were so calm in that thing. I was like, I just didn't know where else to go. And I'd been putting up with his bullshit for 2 years where, we'd wait half an hour for him to finally get a shot set up, and then we all get to set, and Damon I gotta go to the bathroom. And then he'd walk off for 20 fucking minutes. He just sabotaged everything. He just didn't want to be there.
Right.
But he did it in this very passive-aggressive way. And I was just over it. And I was just like, dude, you're only famous because fucking Keenan, bro.
Yeah, that's when things got heated in that tape.
Well, then I think he told me to suck his pussy dick.
Yeah.
But
Why don't you suck my pussy dick? It was only a 10-second back and forth, so, I mean, I can't believe that's the fucking argument that did the whole show in. That's so insane. It's insane. And then him saying, you're only in here because of your fucking brothers or whatever, and then he was like, fuck you. It's almost like, it's like he was just trying to say something to piss him off, which is exactly what Riggs and Murtaugh would do. Overall, this does look like, it does make Damon Wayans look like he's got a major ego, a major fucking ego. Showing up to set late and, you know, not really wanting to be there. If somebody doesn't really want to be there, then it kind of sucks. It's a drag for everybody that's there. So,
here's the best part. They didn't share the whole take.
No, they never do, by the way.
They gave me just a nice little piece because I ripped his ass. I told him that we could bring Steve Harvey in from the Family Feud today, and the audience would embrace it. I told him that we could bring fucking Keenan out of retirement. Shit, we could take Daman Jr., who is a great guy. He's a great actor.
Yeah. And a Fox legend. Fox loves Damon Wayans Jr.
And apparently Sean William Scott who's Damon Jr.'s really good buddy.
Yeah.
But I ripped his ass. But Ross, it was because I just had enough. And I told my wife, because she's like, why did you do it? And I was like, because fuck, man. I had to tell him what I thought of him.
Had a goddamn motherfucker bring Steve Harvey. We could just put Steve Harvey in your place. You know what? I feel like they needed somebody to mediate. They needed an arbitrator. They needed somebody. I mean, on the show, Riggs has to talk to a fucking psychiatrist and shit. Are they not talking to psychiatrists? Is there nobody there to kind of have emotional intelligence with this whole thing? People are dicks, and, you know, any dumb fucking thing could just break the whole fucking thing. And so you just have to make sure you have to regulate that. I don't know. If I had Freedom School, I would have, you know, parliamentary procedures. The only two required classes would be parliamentary procedures and relationships. Relationships are just, they're difficult, they're hard, and then just to think about a relationship by itself, they're doing a fucking project, so that makes the relationships, like, much more, just sucks. Daman was funny as shit. Riggs is this breakout character, right? Clayne Crawford, he made a name for himself. He's like in a new movie or some shit, and he's not the star anymore. So he was the fucking star, and I don't know how well he was eating, but it's almost like, God, man. They've had, like, you know, fucking dozens and dozens of arguments on the show that's fucking worse. And just they had one, you know, argument off to the side that broke the whole damn thing. He got mad one time at the fucking assistant director, you know. So, I found it relatable. I thought Lethal Weapon was awesome. And, you know, in a way, I guess I was excited for the last episode. It is formulaic. When they have 3 movies, right, Lethal Weapon, so they had like years in between those movies to, you know, get their shit together. They filmed 40 episodes of Lethal Weapon, so there's 18 and 22 or some shit, so they filmed 40 episodes, 40 something minutes apiece, so like half a movie is like 20 fucking movies in 2 years. That's a lot of fucking movies. That's a lot of goddamn headaches. That's a lot of, you know, where's this person? How come you're not wearing this? And where's the director? Where's the boom mic person? Blah, blah, blah. When I think about the damn formula, it was a good foil. It was a good foil because, you know, Riggs wants to be this good. You know, he comes from kind of shit and he wants to be this good family man. Daman Man is, you know, stable. And I think he's like a stable family man now. So it's almost like that he was just had to play himself. And Daman said that he liked Clayne Crawford in the beginning because he was down to earth. I wasn't going to do the damn thing, but then I met Clayne Crawford and he was just so down to earth.
And that he's a waste of space, and that nobody cares, man. Like, we called Damon Lee, lazy, entitled elitist. And that was just it, man.
And that was his nickname on set?
That was his nickname on set, you know. And it was just because he again, he didn't want to be there.
Right.
And maybe he got, and I don't want to bash, I know I am bashing the dude, but maybe they sold him a bag of goods like they sold me, and that it was, dude, this show's going to be my wife and kids with guns.
Right.
Right? You're going to be Murtaugh. We're going to take this and really, fuck Riggs. This is going to be about Murtaugh. You know, and the Murtaugh family. Maybe that's what they sold him. I don't know.
They probably told you guys both the same thing, if you want to be honest.
Miller was so kind, and he would let it.
So he's a Jehovah's Witness, and honestly, if Daman Wayans is a Jehovah's Witness, then he needs to get back to going door to door, trying to save souls by going door to door. Fuck the movies. Get out of the movies and just, be a Jehovah's Witness. Just the foil was just so good. Riggs and Murtaugh, they worked. They fucking worked. And hey, I'm from Alabama. That doesn't. Hey, I don't give a fuck. Look at this hair. I don't. What do you? And then they're so fake. Oh my god.
Let's make alterations to the material, and we would improv. And Mick G was so supportive of that, and he was because Mick G would have me saying "fuck you, motherfucker," and just he's like, "Cuz I'll cut it out," just like he wanted me to go right and define this character. And in doing that, I created not only tension, but I kind of drew a line in the sand with me and Miller. And Miller was the showrunner.
That's tough.
And it was tough because at that moment, McGee's the most powerful guy on set.
Yeah.
Once McGee went home,
it's you and Miller.
It's me and Miller.
Yeah.
And me never being involved in network television, I was naive to that whole thing. And we can all do it.
Yeah.
We just can't take ourselves too seriously. And we gotta kind of fucking fly off the cuff sometimes. Like we gotta be able to adjust and to be pliable. And I think we were successful with that for the first 2 seasons. But I feel like, and I'll say this, I feel like no one at Fox and no one at Warner Brothers was watching the fucking show for them to make the decision that they made. Or there's something else fucking going on, which I don't know what that could be.
Right. And speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy, with the James Gunn situation that happened to him, there was an actor that came forward, Dave Bautista, who came out and said, "I am not doing this series without him. I support him. I respect him. All this other shit." With you, that was Hillary Burton. I remember after this whole shit went down, she wrote like a public letter, which, dude, it's rare for an actor to stick their neck out like.
That's crazy. This goes on for 1 hour and 15, and whatever they say in this 1 minute, it fucking hits all the way to the top. So is it about the people? I mean, so far I am not intrigued at all. Like, what? I'm gonna let this play for 1 minute, and then we're gonna cut it short.
Like that.
Jordana left the show.
Jordana Brewster, so she's gone from the show.
We're at the same management company now.
Wow.
Look, man, there's no confusion. Like Andrew Greer, he's not coming back. Like I'm shocked that Kevin Rahm is back with the things that the text messages and how we both felt about the things that were going on that set. I can't believe he went back. And for Keisha and her husband to act the way that they have since this all happened, it's just shocking. It's people say you find out who people really are.
Yeah.
And even more than that, just who people really are. When fear comes in. I remember Keisha just kept saying, "Why couldn't you apologize? Why couldn't you just apologize?"
Yeah.
I was like, how can I suck dick and play rigs at the same time? I can't do that. Look, I'll apologize. I apologized to my crew that day when I freaked out and yelled at Newman. I apologized to Newman, but Newman went home. He quit that day. I can't imagine not being able to do my job and somebody reaming my ass for it and then me going home.
No.
I just can't imagine doing that. But then again, I'm from a small town in Alabama. I'm not a Hollywood guy by any means. So, it's been an unusual process, and it's been unusual for my children because you don't want to think. I know that we're watching the press and that we feel like that there's been a decline because the press.
God, when I think about Lethal Weapon, like the Daman and Keisha, they were just so accepting. He could come, stay in their house. He was a friend of the family. He wrecked into their picket fence one time, all drunk and stupid, and with his RV. So it's kind of incredible that, they care so much about Riggs, and they're getting him all the psychological help. They know he's a good cop. They know he's, doing a good job, but he's a little sad. He had a wife and a kid, and they died, right? So that'd be tough for anybody. But he's still, if anything, the job gives him stability, and because he's a lethal weapon, it kind of makes him a super cop. It makes him a super cop.
Just trying to keep up with social media, and it's so difficult to kind of fact check. But this narrative that they've been running is 100% a lie. A lie. I never yelled at children. And Variety ran that. But what's funny, Kiki, my wife, goes to look up the article today because we wanted to talk about it, and they've changed it to what? Clayne yelled near children.
Yeah.
Not at children, but near. So it's just been it's wild. I think it's been a learning process for my family, for my children who were on set every day. Who my 11-year-old.